And thank you so much for joining us for the Leadership Connects. Really appreciate that. Uh, Technology has reshaped all facets of enterprises. Emerging technologies are driving efficiency and reliability in modern data centers. Sustainability is increasingly becoming important for organizations, and therefore, CIOs are becoming leaders in driving sustainability conversations within the organizations. Now, the data center space is one of the most influential sectors globally, and data center energy consumption discussions and sustainability goals have evolved in a remarkable manner in recent years. Enterprise leaders and data center players both understand this better than anyone else and have been working together to drive better ways of pushing the data center sustainability agendas ahead. Now, whether it's commitment towards net zero or use of renewable energy and other environmental goals. Today, we have gathered here to discuss this in depth and understand how technology in itself is enabling organizations to drive positive changes for today and tomorrow. Now, we have some of the industry veterans and experts joining us for this discussion today. We have with us Manjunath Prasad, Head IT Operations, TVS Group. We have Binayak Pradhan, Senior Director, Head IT, Samsung SDS. We have Chetan Trivedi, CIO, Vedanta Resources, Hindustan Zinc. Sendil Kumar Venkateshan, CTO, Shriram Capital. And Sanjay Bhutani, Senior Vice President, Head of Data Center Business, Adani Connects. Now, before we go around the table and discuss some key facets, I'd like to invite Sanjay Bhutani, Senior Vice President and Head of Data Center Business at Adani Connects, for his opening remarks and to formally welcome you all. So over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Anup. I'm really excited for this conversation with the industry leaders. You're right, technology is actually reshaping all the functions of enterprises. Technology has become a key driver for innovation. And there is an immediate need of reinvention of IT infrastructure. And data center is the one which is actually going to meet all the demand of digital first enterprises. Customers and the tech partners must collaborate to build a new vision for the industry. I would like to extend my warm regards to all the leaders. Welcome to all the leaders. Look forward to hearing their insights on this subject. Thank you, Anup, and welcome all the leaders.
Thanks for that, Sanjay. So, Manjunath, we'll start with you. Now, see, massive growth in data generations transforming all aspects of enterprises. We'd like to know, how do you think data center infrastructure planning has evolved to meet future requirements? Over to you, Manjunath.
Thanks, Anup. Thanks for the question. Data center has evolved over the last couple of years. The way the traditional data centers, we believe, the huge room size, the separate dedicated team of maintenance and all those things have gone. And now the smart data centers are coming with and a great revolution has happened in this space as well. In addition to that, the co-location data centers as well as the cloud data centers have also added to the kitty, where today the customer gets a choice of selecting what is his requirement. As per his requirement, he can select the type of the data center, what he wants to do it, and the speed of what he wants to roll out. So these are the various platforms that is available today rather than the conventional methods. So data center technology is going through a great revolution, and it has already gone through it. And today now, a lot of focus is being laid on the green revolution, greener, reduce carbon footprint. How can we make the Earth's atmosphere better by reducing the carbon footprint? So these are the various kinds of environment friendly data centers coming in now. So which was not heard of a couple of years back. So this is something, a good thing that that's what I have to say about it.
Absolutely, Manjunath. I think it's a lot about the green revolution and how you can reduce the carbon footprint. I think the society at large is looking at, economy which is sustainable, and at the same time, is positively looking at the environment. Now, Sendil, we'd like to get your perspective, on the same point that I kind of brought up with Manjunath, that, while there's massive growth in data generations and transforming all aspects of enterprises, how do you think data center infrastructure planning has evolved to meet future requirements? Over to you,
Yeah, Anup, see, basically I classify data center into three pillars. One is on the compute, and second is on the storage. So compute means I'm going on the server side, and second is on the storage, and third is on the network side. So this three plays a major role, and what I feel is that the effective utilization of these three will make a data center comfortable for any customers or any person to be used. See, most of the time we have our data center where the resources are not being utilized properly. We will be having so many servers, but end of the day, if you see how much is the power which we have utilized, that is exactly the PUE. We have to see the power utilization effectiveness. See how the cooling comes in and how the cooling is being used. That is plays a major role. So what I am feeling is that the way forward is that we have to virtualize effectively on these three pillars. Let it be on the server virtualization, storage virtualization, and also on the network virtualization. If we do virtualization and if we bring like software defined data center, SDDC, then we can see the resource being utilized based on our needs. That is what I would like to share. And another thing is that this utilization, like a bandwidth utilization and also the resource being used. And many of the times we are discussing on the bustable bandwidth, but more of the time it is like a paper. They are climbing and finally we are ending up by paying a huge amount on the connectivity. See, we are having, say, suppose 1 Gbps connectivity. The utilization of 1 GB is happening only whenever it is required. But in the time, if it is not there, we are gone. We are losing the business. Example, month end. Last 5 days, we will be utilizing high resources and remaining, that is from 10 to 15 or 20th, we will not be using it. But on the safer side, we have to utilize the bandwidth and also we want to have a redundant connectivity. Sure, there is a SD-WAN technology which has come in, but still if one connectivity is down, handling with the other connectivity is a problem. See, many things we are going with the redundancy. But the business also need redundancy. But having more redundancy will incur more more expenses for us. How to address these things are all big challenges for any enterprise customers.
Sure. Thanks for that, Senthil. I think clearly, resource planning, effective utilization is clearly something which, CIOs and leaders need to look at. But I think it's a good point that you bring about that, there is a challenge around how do you do that. And that's where the innovation, piece comes into play. And, on that, we'll move to Binayak. So Binayak, today, CIOs are now being, called innovators in chief or, chief information officers are now innovation officers. So, they work closely with internal and external stakeholders to drive and implement business strategy. In your view, what are some essential pillars of technology leadership in modern day enterprises? So over to you, Binayak.
Yeah. So as you know, there's a lot of focus on digital transformation nowadays. Okay. We have the situation here is that, as a IT subsidiary, Samsung IT subsidiary, we have to support the sales organization, the manufacturing organization, and we have 4 R&D in India, So for us, the requirement is different. The sales organization requirement is different. There are a lot of efforts on improving the customer experience. Okay, a lot of focus on the sales analytics, the forecasting system. So the sales organization focus is a little different. So last 2 years, because of this COVID situation, so we have also done a lot of new deployment to improve the customer experience in the for the contact center area. And similarly for R&D, the requirement is we have to modernize the infrastructure. So they have high performance computing kind of requirement. So the focus here is to modernize your application, and maintain your skill set, the talent pool, and select the right technology for your business requirement. So that's the key area, from my point of view. And we have to change according to the situation. Now the situation has changed. We have to provide work from home. There are remote kind of connectivity, so that has to be there. And things have changed actually last 2 years. So so that's what we have to focus on. digital transformation. Accordingly, we have to change kind of the data center requirement. That's what we discussed. So a lot of focus on the cloud, hybrid cloud kind of requirement. We have to have something in cloud, and also on-premise, kind of requirement. Yeah.
Thanks for that, Binayak. Chetan, we'd like to move to you and get your perspective on the same discussion point. That while CIOs are now innovators in chief, and they're working with internal and external stakeholders to drive and implement business strategy, what, according to you, are some of the essential pillars of technology leadership in modern day enterprises? Over to you, Chetan.
Yeah. See, when I talk about innovation, business excellence, in historical times, what was happening, those are actually being done on the various methodologies we are using. In a digital age, all innovations are actually driven by a digital technologies today. Okay, and therefore, most important aspect is basically that how do we really leverage those digital technologies? And when I talk about digital technologies, I'm talking about not only to Industry 4.0 in strict sense, but also includes like Santil was mentioning about the new technology has come in networking, SD-WAN, or even you can say that the cloud computing also, right? So all of these things are available today for this thing. And on base of these technologies, the innovations are being driven in the organization. Now, when you drive this innovation, leveraging on those digital as a base, the most important aspect is first and foremost, as a CIO, you need to understand, at least at a conceptual level, that how this technology works and which are the use cases and how do I apply to my business or my problem statements. So from that perspective, obviously you require to understand to that. You may not be expert of every technology, but at least conceptually you should be clear about all technology. Then only you can rightly apply. The second aspect of basically innovation is basically a digital mindset. Okay, unless the mindset in the organization, and then mindset is not really related to only technology guys across the organization. So unless the mindset is there, so innovation will not come from the shop floor, right? That has to come from that only. That is there. Third is basically today a very agile way of working is actually there, and you know that we work with a lot of startups. And I firmly believe that when you have an ecosystem of startups working with you, the whole organization becomes more agile, and that kind of agile thinking comes into play. Okay, a lot of innovation comes from those small startups who have a lot of good ideas, but those ideas have not really been executed because they are not supported well, right? So as an organization, when we start supporting them, bringing them, give them a problem statement, they do wonders. And I have personally seen so many such kind of instances in our organization as well. So for me, basically, I would summarize in these three ways that, okay, we understand the technology, we create the ecosystems around that, and particularly like what I talked about startups now. And most importantly, we have that kind of digital mindset created and give that particular kind of a democratic way of providing tools and technology for those people who have that digital mindset to really innovate using those things. That's essential for me, I believe. And that's the role of CIO today in the organization to do that.
Absolutely, Chetan. I think it's a lot about mindset, also building and developing the culture, and then promoting innovation across the organization. I think it is CIOs who are in the right position to do that across the board. Now, while we are on technology adoption, see today technology adoption cycles, Chetan, are becoming shorter, right? And staying ahead in technology adoption can become a unique competitive advantage. So how do you think organizations can drive continuous learning and experimentation culture? What role can technology partners play in enabling this? And Sanjay, we'll come to you next on the same point. Would like to get your perspective as well on the same. So Chetan, coming back to you first.
Yeah, so again, I will say back to the same thing, like a lot of technologies have come, and all of these technologies, some or other way, are in exploratory in nature, right? Everybody is trying some use cases, trying to find that how it helps me, and then some things get succeeded very fast. Something is you may not get the right result, but you start, if you have the digital mindset in the organization, that agility in the organization, you start exploring, you start experimenting that. And the most fundamental things in this whole thing is fail fast. So try something and fail fast, and then go on to the next thing. Okay, so I think that's the mantra, that we should be failing fast, than actually then go to the kind of successful implementations. So that's what I feel.
And that is so true, because if you're in an experimentation mode, you fail fast, you pivot or you reboot, and then you get back.
Learn from that. You learn from them, quickly learn from that, go to the next use case, do it much better. Maybe you apply differently the whole thing. Maybe your approach is changing, whatever maybe. I mean, so many things you can do that around that. But I mean, you keep on doing the things and you fail after a couple of years with a lot of time, energy, money spent. You actually lost the cycle, right? So it's better that you fail fast.
Absolutely. Thanks for that, Chetan. Sanjay, moving to you, your perspective, we just heard from Chetan, on the technology adoption cycles becoming shorter and how, organizations can drive continuous learning and experimentation culture. Would like to understand from you, what role can technology partners, play in this part? So over to you.
Thanks for that. I agree with Chetan as well said. Fail fast is something, it is a good mantra to learn. It's a good catchy thing. And it's actually a truth. Means fail fast and learn fast and unlearn fast. That is, I think that's a mantra. As you rightly said, that life cycles are getting shorter. What it was 10 years back, or maybe more than that. The only way to stay ahead of curve is to have a culture and a mindset which is tech driven, that promotes experimentation, that promotes learning. I think that is the one which is very, very important. We at Adani Connex, we have got a two-way approach, which is internally where our employees have access to knowledge repository, all the use cases, what they need, various training programs, and have a dedicated budget for experimentation and innovation, which is something which we all of us actually are driving that. Second part of the is we have to have a constructive approach wherein we help our partners to accelerate in implementation of tech and create a differentiated offering for them. I think that is something which is a very bold step as a Adani Connex we have taken. The second part of the story is we have to have what Adani Connex is doing. We are listening to customer. We are capturing voice of the customer. We have a clear understanding of what our customer is needing is. And what are the opportunities our partners have, and the value chain and the differentiated offering what we can get for our customers. Our core DNA in Adani Connex is focused to build actually a long-term strategic relationship and to help customer to achieve their goals through a differentiated solution and customization. I think these things are very, very important in this age, and which actually differentiates as an organization, as a partner. And this relationship, what we are building with the customer, is very strategic in nature. Whether it is data center, whether it is a network, or whether it is a cable system, or any other way we are doing a business, I think strategic part is very important. That helps both the sides to see a win-win situation.
Thanks for that, Sanjay. And I think the key point here is that it can't anymore be a supplier-customer relationship. It has to be a partnership. It has to be a collaborative cycle, and clearly that's where you get strategic in nature. Now, coming back to you, Sendil. See, we'll appreciate that the current scenario with COVID has accelerated the pace for digital transformations. Organizations are becoming digital first, whether it is cloud, artificial intelligence, Internet of Things, Industry 4.0. These are all transforming all aspects of business strategy and operations. And more than ever, IT infrastructure need to be resilient, scalable, and future ready. What are some crucial factors in your view, Sendil, that drive IT infrastructure strategy in today's world? And then I'd also like to get a view from Vinayak on the same. So over to you, Sendil.
Yeah, Anup, so it's a very interesting thing where we are discussing regularly in our organization. So we, Shriram Capital, we are the holding arm of Shriram Group companies, which are predominantly into finance and insurance sector. So definitely we wanted to improve the digital because the business has to be more on digital in coming years is what we are predicting. For that, what is that from the IT which we have to see is the two areas where we are planning to deploy. One is on the application side. We wanted to change the monolithic to microservices environment. And also on the infrastructure side, as you rightly told, like how agile we can be, how we can scale, and how we can give a business users a wow factor, like increasing the resources whenever they are needed. So these are the things where we are focusing towards that. As you are all aware that the business is moving towards B2C. More earlier, especially on the finance and insurance sector, thanks to this work from home culture, and also persons being in home with social distancing and other things, they don't need to come to the branches. So they want to sit in the home and they wanted to operate. See, many of us will not be really keen, because no, they need not go outside their home and they need not go to the office or they need not go to the branch. But we, Shriram Group, we are catering more on the tier 2, tier 3, even villages and all. For them, still they come to the branches and they go and they pay, they get the loan. So we wanted to reduce in such a way that everything happens through their mobile. The branch itself they should have in a mobile. So that is what we are going towards that, and a lot of things we have improved on that. So for this, we need a high resources, and we need to enable the resources instantly or with a very reasonable time. What I feel is that gone are the days where we have to wait for the resources, we have to provision, and the business team will give sufficient time. I feel that slowly it will come down, and the big enterprises and all will focus more on the hybrid cloud. See, we cannot think like moving entire thing like lock, stock, barrel into the cloud services, and also we cannot run our own premises also. So what we are exploring is that how effectively we can use our public cloud as well as our private cloud in such a way that how effectively we can use the hybrid cloud. For this hybrid cloud, few areas where I feel that there are challenges are, number one is that on the accountability. We need to see who will be accountable when things are going wrong or when things are going concerned. So these things we have to see. And we want to have a common dashboard to see the resources, like in the public cloud, how we are using, and on the private cloud, how the resources are being used. A common dashboard, and definitely the security and performance will come to the picture. See, on the Shriram side, we are having a public cloud and we are having a private cloud. Now the focus is more towards hybrid cloud. Hope all will agree, and I think that the infrastructure and also the business is moving towards that.
No, true that, Sendil. In fact, the more I speak with CIOs across the board, hybrid cloud does seem to be the strategy. And I think you borrowed some good points around security and other bits. But let's also hear from Binayak and get his view on this perspective. So over to you, Binayak.
Yeah. So when you talk about agility, scalability, or high availability, okay. So normally we think that it's available in cloud. Okay. You can use as much you want, right? But at the same time, it's not possible to migrate everything to cloud. For a enterprise like us, we need to have our own system on premise. Okay, so what I feel that the hybrid model is very much suitable for an enterprise like us, and the colo service which we can avail. Right now, all these cloud service provider, they are based out of any of the colo location, right? So we can also use similar kind of infrastructure where you don't have to worry about the cooling power, and so it's well managed, right? And you get support 24/7. In a COVID situation also, data center all running and they could manage well, right? So I believe that for our requirement, hybrid model, having our infrastructure in a colo, okay, for our critical application, and when we have different subsidiaries, we can have a kind of common infrastructure to manage all the subsidiaries, and it can be well utilized as and when required. So that's way you have the infrastructure, stable infrastructure, in a colo location, and you get similar kind of environment like a public cloud, right? So that's how we can manage. Yeah, and to manage the hybrid model, you have to have your team, talent. You have to manage the talent to manage it well.
I think one
And one more thing, like now for any new requirement, the business also asking, why can't you deploy in cloud? So you have to compare each and every requirement. If you deploy in cloud versus on premise, you have to have a comparison, that way you decide.
Thanks for that, Vinayak. I think clearly, one very pertinent point you brought about was talent, and I think skill set becomes that much more important. And every time you're looking to partner, with any brand, I think it's also important to kind of look at what's the skill set, capability, and talent that they bring at large to kind of complement with your strategy in the long run, right?
Yeah. One more, if you have time, one more point I wanted to bring. So there was a specific requirement, we have to have a comparison, building a data center on premise or going to a colo. We had a comparison that way, especially for R&D centers. Okay, so so there are challenges, the speed or accessibility to the data. If you because your colo is not close to you, so there's a distance and there is a latency, you have to take care of. So in a certain situation, you are bound to have your on-premise data center, and specifically in a large plant like ours, and where you have sufficient power and cooling available there, and you have 24/7 staff to manage it. So it's better to have the data center on premise there. Okay, but and the commercial application and all can be in the colo. That's what the strategy actually from Samsung point of view.
Sure. Thanks for that, Binayak. So Sanjay, I think one of the points that Binayak mentioned was, around there's sufficient power, there's sufficient cooling, but climate change is one of the most pressing issues of our generations, right? And undoubtedly, there is an immediate need for collective action around sustainability. Now, Sanjay, tell us, what role do you think today's organization can play in reducing carbon emissions?
Well, that's most relevant in this. While we are growing, every part of technology and data centers are growing, IT is transforming, a lot of innovations happening. I think sustainability is a very key prominent area where we should focus. If we take a step back and see, global warming itself is a huge indicator for all of us to look at what sustainability is going to help and why sustainability should be adopted ASAP. So global warming clearly suggests, there was an IPCC report last week, I was reading it. It says we are actually above 1.5 degrees centigrade, the pre-industrial levels. How this has come, 20 warmest years we have seen. 1 million of species are actually at risk. Water levels have increased, floods are increasing, droughts are increasing, and habitats are at risk. So global warming itself is something which is a big indicator. How soon and why should we adopt sustainability? Sustainability has got clearly two parts to it. One is the social cause, society, and the second is the business side of it. For a society, I think we need to adopt for a better quality of lives, protect our ecosystem, and preserves a nature. I think the social cause is very important. And for that, we need to create a large ecosystem, large awareness programs, and where people should be aware, and community of interest has to be created by all the society, all the people, so that people understand the seriousness for a sustainability. The second part is about obviously a business, creating a long-term value chain by creating an organized, operate ESG reports, which is ESG. I'm sure all of us agree. Environmental, social, and governance is something which is the most important in a business. And sustainability plays a key role in all three. I think the differentiation has to be me first, which is I and all of us together, we can create a differentiation. Coming straight to data center, I think there are 5 elements in a sustainability. One is a carbon footprint. Second is energy, in my view. Third is the e-waste. Fourth is the space, what we use in the data center. And the fifth is the water. I think I'll start with the fifth first. Water conservation is something, water positive is something which is very important for us. What we intake for a data center, how can I be a water positive? There are various ways and means, and globally people have adopted. And we are at Adani Connects, we are experimenting, and while we are serving to our customer, in a couple of years, they're going to demonstrate how do we become water positive in a data center. Second is the carbon footprint. Carbon footprint itself is the largest subject. We are going to create 175 zettabyte of data by 2025. How do I make sure I reduce actually carbon footprint? That is a serious subject to look at. Energy has got a lot of elements. One is obviously, how do I become green? How do I give power which is absolutely green? There are ways and means of giving a green power, but there are some challenges in terms of we are working on a policy advocacy side of it and ensuring we should be able to serve 100% power. The fourth subject is the e-waste. I think e-waste is another vast subject wherein all of us have to, as a society, as a community, need to get together and see what kind of adoption we can take. Currently, I'll give you one use case wherein all the IT equipment's life is only 5-6 years. And what are we doing about them? Are we reusing them? Are we using them efficiently? Or is there any way? During the construction, also another use case, so much of waste. So we are experimenting with our global players, with our tech joints, with our customers. How do we become efficient on an e-waste side? The fifth and the last one is the space. I think space, all of us have seen enterprises and hyperscalers are using today 15 kilowatt, 18 kilowatt, 20 kilowatt per rack. About 5-6 years back, this was only 3 kilowatt or 5 kilowatt. So we are becoming efficient on that aspect, which is going to help us. And next is in terms of all the hyperscalers, I'll just briefly touch upon. It's all three large hyperscalers. Everyone has taken a pledge by 2025. They'll be carbon neutral by hour, by month, or by a year. I think people are realizing slowly its sustainability is beyond only a power. Zero waste, someone has taken a pledge. Someone is saying, I'll be a landfill certification, a zero waste landfill certification I'll take. Someone is saying, I'll make sure RE is 100%, and I'm going to invest 100 million on sustainability. That is something which is people are. So to summarize this, I think policy advocacy is going to play a key role, which will help us to implement 100% green. Technological interventions which are coming in for an e-waste or a space, or those technologies, we are creating a community of interest, a community which all the customers and partners and operator like us come together and create a society which actually look at a larger cause and solve it. The last one is there is a community called RE100 across the globe, and India is not part of it. We are going to participate in that, and we'll make sure India also participate in that. That helps us to achieve innovative ways to build that. The most important is the softer aspect. I think clearly we need to attract a lot of talent for a cause of sustainability. We can have a lot of professionals, a lot of institutes, technology colleges, wherein the career opportunities have to be seen in this field. So there we are going to play a key role in creating that interest, which will help society to have a seriousness and people see a career in that. Not only that, even veterans like some of the ex-army men, they are the most disciplined people. If we help them to join DC industry, this can also be one of the small or a big initiative which helps them to participate and be a differentiator there. I think these are the key elements which I see which are going to play a key role in sustainability. Anup, I've taken a longer time.
No, that's fine. I think very, very valid point, Sanjay. And I think ESG is very important, the environmental, social, and the governance side. And additionally, it has to be a little cultural, the society at large has to be cognizant of it. There's also the education part that comes into play. But we'd also like to hear the same and get his perspective, Manjunath. So tell us, what role do you think today's organizations can play in reducing carbon emissions? So over to you, Manjunath.
Well, thanks, Anup. I think Sanjay has touched a lot of points and pertain to the data center and the services what they are providing and the initiatives what they're taking. So it makes what industries are today are doing is the industries like us, we are concentrating on to reduce when we don't have that expertise to maintain the data center. We are looking at these kind of service partners who can partner with us to do our business expansions drastically as per our business requirement. At the same time, contribute to the environment sustainability, environment awareness and all. So that's how we are able to contribute. That's where I can foresee that the next few generation we can see the slowly dip up in building in-house data centers, unless very few organizations have very risky complications on their data integrity or something like that, or the space consent is not there. They are the people who will be willing to build their own data centers. But rest of the crowd, majority of the crowd would be looking at the partners like these guys to cloud, private clouds, colos and all to make the efficient use of the environment as well as the sustainability of their operations, so that the operations is seamless to at their end also. This is what I foresee. I don't see the much building of, even if they happen to build the data centers in their own due to some requirements. I'm definitely sure that the revolutionary data centers will be built in, the smart data centers will come in. Earlier, we can imagine of huge space required for a data center, but today's data centers all comes within a single rack, which takes care of the entirely all the requirements, the cooling, the power, the rack space, everything. So even if it comes to the part of building our own data center, definitely it's a revolutionary change in the way we do it.
Thanks for that, Manjunath. It was truly insightful, listening to all of you. But I have one final question for Sanjay. And clearly, now that Adani Connects is now in the data center space, we'd like to know, Sanjay. See, Adani as a group comes with a lot of capabilities, whether it is power, transmission, logistics. There is the infrastructure side. How are you leveraging the group's capabilities to deliver the promise for your customers and enterprises going forward at Adani Connect? So over to you, Sanjay.
Thank you for that. So we as a group, we are a large infrastructure company. And for a data center, what are the needs? We need to understand the first thing, the simplest thing is we need a scale. And the scale comes multi-ways. One is obviously while we're creating facilities, we are creating data center parks. And these parks are very, very large. In terms of one campus itself can cater to multi-megawatts in each city. All cities like Chennai, Hyderabad, Delhi, Mumbai, Vizag, Pune, all these cities, we are creating a large campuses. And while we are creating a large campuses, I think efficiency and the speed is a key to our customers. Efficiency are multi-ways. Efficiencies are we are building in terms of the kind of processes, robust processes we are building for security, sustainability, and for a governance perspective. Those are pretty robust. We have got an experience of 20 years, and we have built large infrastructure project, which is we are leveraging on that. And the leverage is multifold. While data centers are getting built in 18 months to 24 months, we are looking at options of how do I make sure I'm very, very competitive and I can make it in a speed which people can't imagine. So we are experimenting those kind of things with a scale. When it comes to a policy side of it, I think that's also going to benefit our customers. This is something which we have started working about 8-10 quarters back with all the state government and the central government. We have seen results from some of these states, their policy is out. It actually helps our customer to be more efficient. Operator like are efficient, then obviously our customer become efficient. There is another way to leverage our group is we have got a multi-partner. Being a large group, we deal with a lot of partners. We are bringing in efficiency. We are bringing in a lot of efficiency, which are pay-per-use model, which is partly implemented in India, but that is going to be a big game changer. I'll give you one use case. Today, bare metal as a service, all of us know about that, but most of the BFSI vertical and IT vertical are a little hesitant to do that. If I come with a policy which says you use it and you become the owner at the later stage, So that is a big differentiator. That's a big comfort I'm giving it to a customer. That is something which is on card, and I'm sure people will see this is becoming a reality in data center. While it comes to a sustainability, we are a power company, we are a distribution company. We have got all kinds of ingredient to implement sustainable solution in our data center. We are the one who are driving this big time with the state, with our customer, so that day one people are really able to see what the reality of a green energy in a data center. Not only the data center part of it, we are actually trying to solve a problem for the customer organization and their global organization. While talking to hyperscaler, we are not limiting ourselves. We are not having a mind block in terms of I'll give you a green power in my data center. Wherever your data center is, we are happy to make them green. We are not only the data center, we are happy to make your organization carbon neutral. So those kind of solutions, people are recognizing those kind of ecosystem which we are building, not only for the data center, holistically we are trying to solve. I think data center industry also needs a big time related infrastructure, which is cable system. All of us know why data center Mumbai and Chennai are growing at a faster pace, because cable lands there. We are solving that as problem. So we are collaborating with hyperscalers and some of the large customers to bring in cable in multiple cities, so that it is going to help all the enterprises to become more efficient. I'm sure all of us, all the speakers here have got a multi-branch facility in all cities. So those kind of things are getting implemented. The most important is the people part of it. We as a Adani Group, we have a philosophy to give chance to a young leaders. We as an organization have 30-35% young leaders in our organization to experiment and see what kind of innovation these guys, the bright young leaders, are bringing so much of change, and they carry no baggage in mind. So that is also helping us. The people part is the most important piece. I think that is, and the partnership we are doing it with global and the local players, which is bringing uniqueness, and one-stop shop for enterprises is becoming a reality now, and which is our group's strength, which we are going to leverage a lot.
Excellent. Thanks a lot for that, Sanjay. Looks very promising, and we look forward to seeing a lot more of Adani Connex in the coming days. So all the best for that. It also brings us to the close of the session. We are running out of time, but thank you so much all for joining us. Thanks a lot, Manjunath. Thanks a lot, Vinayak. Thanks a lot, Sendil. Chetan, I think, has had some connectivity issues and he's had to drop off. Sanjay, I'd like to invite you for a quick set of closing remarks, and then I think we can officially close the session. So back to you, Sanjay.
Thank you, Manjunath. Thank you, Anup. Thank you, Vinayak, Senthil. Really, thank you for your time. Really insightful discussion. It is going to help us longer term, and happy to get connected and see what kind of value add we can do to your business, and we will collaborate for sure. Thank you so very much, Anup, and the team.
Excellent. Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks a lot.
Stay safe,
Thanks, everyone.
and have a great weekend. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thanks. Wish you the same.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you. Bye-bye.